up, everybody? Matt Moran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week. And the first news story is that Chevy has given us its first glimpse of the Blazer SS EV. And so it's the 2024 model year vehicle. We only get the one shot here for now, but thankfully we can see a lot from the one shot here. So we can see this is the SS trim we're looking at with the bigger wheels, the more aggressive bodywork, and will most likely have a lot more power as well. And that'll be their designation for the performance version. But beyond that, we don't have any other extra new information here, aside from the fact that we now know that the full reveal will be happening on July 18th. Other than that, all we know now is that it has, the Ultium battery pack it'll be running, and also that it's going to be supposedly arriving in the spring of 2023 as far as, sales go and all that. But, just a few short weeks, we'll see the rest of the Blazer EV, and so let me know what you think about the looks in the comments below. I think, clearly going for the Blazer thing is a shame, that they went with that name out of all the names they could have picked. But, I think that it's a cool looking thing independent of that. Same kind of thing with the Mach-E, where I wish they didn't call it a Mustang. But, I think it's, one of the cooler looking EVs out there. Same thing goes for the Blazer here. It'll be a great competitor to the Mach-E, I'm sure, as well. And so hopefully we get some details along with that reveal on July 18th. But interesting to see that. Toyota has revealed a few more pictures of their compact cruiser EV, which is a concept that was briefly introduced back in December along the huge lineup of potential EVs that they're planning on making at Toyota. And so the reason why we got some new pictures of it here this week, and few different colors and stuff, is that the concept actually won an award for its design from the ADI Design Museum in Italy. And so I guess as a result, Toyota rolled it out again and took a bunch of nice pictures of it here. And so we still don't know if any of these things are confirmed to be happening as far as production vehicles go, but it certainly makes sense to be, like an electric Bronco Sport competitor before Ford gets around to electrifying the Bronco Sport. Could make a lot of sense here, and hopefully this award maybe gives Toyota a little more motivation to be like, hey, this is something really awesome, let's put it in production. So we'll see, but anyway, interesting to get, a better look at that there. Another boxy, rugged SUV that just had its production version actually revealed here was the 2023 Mercedes G-Wagon, the G63 4x4 squared. So as you can see, they've applied the 4x4 squared setup to the new generation G-Wagon. So, it has a lift, upgraded suspension, portal axles, bigger fender flares, which are carbon fiber, by the way, which seems counterintuitive for something that actually is supposed to go off-road. Has off-road tires on 22-inch wheels, a light bar, which has a cool design there on the roof. Even a roof rack and a rear ladder can be added if you'd like. It also keeps the new G-Wagon's independent front suspension, actually. So you get some sacrifices in the off-roading department, but you'll have some improvements in the on-road department with that change. But so a little less ground clearance, a little less water fording ability than the old one, but it still has 13.8 inches of ground clearance and a water fording depth of 35.8 inches. It runs the 4-liter twin-turbo V8 for 585 horsepower, which is 163 more horsepower than the old G500 4x4 squared. And so a nice improvement. Obviously, that one was not AMG. This one is, so that's, definitely an improvement as well. But it'll be built in very limited numbers with a sky-high price, of course, but those details haven't been given specifically, by Mercedes yet. So we'll have to see. But ordering's open for them, but of course, this is going to be sold out probably almost immediately. And especially Mercedes is kind of saying this is the last of its kind in a way. They didn't outright say that, but it seems like that's kind of what they're suggesting here. So, we know an electric G-Wagon is on the way. That will probably get the 4x4 squared thing as well, if it's technically feasible. But, I think as far as the gas-powered ones go, this will be the last one here. And so that'll drive up those prices even higher. But anyway, very cool to see that nonetheless. Subaru, for some more relatable news here this week, they've revealed a refresh for the Ascent for the 2023 model year. And so it gets this new front end with a larger grille and a couple different bumpers depending on the trim. Also, that purple color is a nice new addition, but to me, the old styling was definitely better looking than this new styling. I mean, they tried to go for like a Forester-esque thing here, but it just, I don't know. Let me know what you think about the styling in the comments below. I'm just not a fan of it. They keep growing these grills with Subaru. They did it first with the Legacy a couple of weeks back, and now we see it here on this Ascent. I get that large grills are kind of, the rage these days still, but I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a great application, and I'll be curious to see what you guys think in the comments. Aside from that, though, here in the front end, you can see the taillights also get a milder change. It's also inspired by the new Forester, but, much easier to stomach than this headlights. But mechanically, it's all the same as before, but the eyesight safety tech has been improved with a third camera now, and it's a wider field of vision for it, and now it also has automatic emergency steering added to the list of assistants. So if it sees that something is about to happen and it thinks that it can intervene to avoid that thing, then it will steer itself in an emergency situation. I'm not sure what the criteria are for that as far as speed goes and stuff, but pretty crazy. That's something that Volvo's had in the past few years, and so it's cool to see Subaru doing that as long as they do it well. And so yeah, that's interesting. Inside, it also gets the 11.6-inch touchscreen as standard across the board now. It used to be only on some of the higher trims, but now it's standard across the board, and now it also comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, which is also a very nice improvement. It'll be going on sale this fall, but there's no updated pricing for those yet. Subaru has also revealed a couple of updates to the Crosstrek for 2023 here. There's a new special edition trim that slots in between the premium and the sport trims and brings back the desert khaki color from the previous generation Crosstrek. We only have the one picture of it there, and that's it, but that's okay because otherwise the Crosstrek is basically unchanged as far as feature content here for 2023. But anyway, the special edition, as far as how it's packaged, it's basically the same appearance changes as you get on a sport trim, with the blacked out appearance and stuff, the same wheels and all that, but it does without the sport's more powerful engine. So instead of getting the 2.5 liter like you get in the sport, this one still runs the 152 horsepower 2 liter 4-cylinder engine instead. And it's also only available with a CVT transmission. There is no manual available. Thankfully, the manual is continuing on for 2023 in the base and premium trims as the standard transmission. Of course, you can get a CVT in those as well. But so good, the manual's sticking around. A little bit of a bummer it's not available here for this special edition trim, but I'm just surprised they're offering a manual still in the Crosstrek at all. So yeah, that's interesting. But other things here, so it's going to be costing $27,970 for that special edition, and that's including destination. So basically $28,000 for those. And otherwise, Crosstrek prices all go up by $500 exactly for 2023. So they're all $500 more expensive. Again, with no actual changes, but that's just the inflation thing these days. Expect that, from basically everything. Everything's going to get more expensive every year, as it likely, usually does in general, but especially these days, expect that even more so. One little thing that's kind of surprising, though, is that unlike other Subarus that are getting a refresh for 2023, there is no changes styling-wise for the Crosstrek. Maybe that'll come next year, or they're just waiting for a new version. The Crosstrek is also a super hot seller, so I feel like they don't probably need to really mess with it, so that's justifiable. But one thing that I'm surprised they left out is that it does not get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto like all the other 2023 Subarus seem to be getting. Not sure why that is, but again, it's such a hot seller. I'm sure that buyers will certainly live with that. And so anyway, yeah, if you're interested in any of these 2023 Crosstreks, they'll be at dealers this summer, so they should be coming very, very soon here, and so cool to see that. And getting back to some unrelatable stuff once again with some more dream vehicles here. Porsche has revealed another rare limited edition, limited production 911 this week. Everyone's turning out all these special editions to maximize profits. So this one is the 911 Carrera GTS Cabriolet America. So it's inspired by the 1953 356 America Roadster, and it's just an appearance package here for a regular GTS Cabriolet. It gets this azure blue color along with the red and white accents on the exterior and interior for a very patriotic look, just in time for the 4th of July, although this obviously will not be coming out that fast. But strangely, if you want the unique interior touches you see there, that's part of an extra extended interior package, which adds another $7,500 to the price of this already expensive America edition, which starts at $186,370, which is about $30,000 more than a regular GTS Cabriolet. It's kind of funny they're nickel and diming, like, oh, for the special edition, if you want all the special edition stuff, pay another $7,500 on top of $30,000 over a regular GTS Cabriolet. It's like, wow, like really, pressing people for money here with this. I mean, hey, people will gladly pay it, especially considering they're only making 115 of these. So, I mean, they might as well just cut to the chase and just price them all at $1 million. Test the market, see what happens, see just how crazy people are, see how much they will pay before they push back, because it seems like the sky's the limit currently here. So, hey, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure these things will all probably be flipped for double the price anyway. So I feel like Porsche could just, price it that high themselves and cut out the middleman. But anyway, yes, I'm sure they're probably all sold out already. So not sure when they'll be arriving here, but yeah, it's very interesting to see that 30 grand for an appearance package. Actually, 37.5 if you want all the stuff. Wild stuff. But anyway, interesting to see that. For another expensive vehicle that's getting a new trim, it's a little bit more substance. Bentley has shown the Flying Spur S, which gets the same treatment as the Continental GT-S that I just talked about last week. So that means you get handling improvements as well as appearance changes here. So the handling improvements are taken off of the Continental GT Speed. It basically means you don't get the W12, instead you get the twin turbo V8, or in the case of the Flying Spur here, you can now also get it with the plug-in hybrid twin turbo V6 as well. That powertrain isn't available yet in the Continental GT. It might come eventually, we'll have to see. But anyway, so, it's the usual stuff where it gets the dynamic ride suspension, has active anti-roll bars, you get rear-wheel steering, gloss black trim, unique touches on the inside, including Alcantara, or like a suede-like material, they say, on the inside, which I don't know who would want that in a Bentley, honestly, but that's the standard interior. Of course, you can customize the interior with a million different combinations if you'd like, as long as your pocketbook is, thick enough. And so, anyway, that's cool that you have, that new option here for the Flying Spur, and there's no pricing for those yet, but should be available to order here now for those of you who want to go out and place an order for one of those. One vehicle that's not available to order currently is the Mercedes-AMG SL43, at least here in the States. And so, the new model was just announced recently. It runs the 4-cylinder turbo motor that's bumped up to about 400 horsepower and all that. So, it has that engine, and I talked about that several weeks ago. You can watch the weekly update on that if you're curious. But, so that came out. It's supposed to be a more affordable version of the SL for those who don't want the twin-turbo V8 version or don't need that much power. But my Mercedes dealer source actually confirmed, and this was something I just heard this week, that they're going to be supposedly delaying that model now to be launched at a later date, according to my contact. So, that's interesting that I guess for some reason maybe that motor's running a little bit behind on development or production or something, or maybe they're just focusing on, again, reducing emissions in Europe as fast as they possibly can due to their stricter fines and requirements over there. So maybe it's like, hey, let's give them all the fuel efficient stuff as fast as possible. Let the Americans fight it out with the gas guzzling stuff, since our laws are a lot more relaxed for now. And then, eventually we'll get all of the electric stuff and fuel efficient stuff from Mercedes, once they feel like it's worth sending it over here. So that's interesting, but certainly makes sense. And we'll see how much they delay it. It may only be a few months or something. We'll have to see. But it's not launching alongside the V8 versions, at least. And we don't have a kind of timeline as far as when that's actually showing up. But also, if you're someone who is still holding out hope for some reason for a C-Class, E-Class, or S-Class coupe or cabriolet, it's been confirmed to dealers here in the past week or so that those will not be getting new versions, and instead they'll all be replaced by one model called the CLE, which has been spied several times. It's going to have a soft top and be only convertible, at least to start. And that one model will kind of split the difference between the C and the E, supposedly, and just be the one convertible there, because they say, with them paring down their lineup, they can't justify all of these coupes and convertibles. I don't know how they ever did justify it in the first place, honestly, but, there was, several years where you had, I don't know, 4 or 5 different convertibles and coupes within Mercedes. I don't know who was buying them, but they were offering that many, and so now it'll all be condensed into one with the CLE here. And honestly, I'm surprised they're even doing that, considering the SL already has a back seat now. So if you want something a little softer than the AMG GT Roadster, you have the SL. And Mercedes just a few weeks ago also said that their new focus is now on high profit margin stuff and lower volumes. They don't care about cheaper cars. They're not, they're getting rid of the A-Class here in the States. They're, they're going to cut, I think they said, several different models, especially from the lower end of the lineup. So they don't care about cheap stuff. So I would just assume that Mercedes would have been like, if you want a convertible Mercedes, spend 100 grand on an SL or however much they're going to cost and deal with it, But I guess they're still going to try and do something relatively affordable. I mean, it'll still probably be 60, 70, 80 grand or whatever for this CLE, but something a little bit lower priced. I guess they were able to justify one of those, just not 3. But honestly, yeah, I mean, most companies don't even offer convertibles. So the fact that Mercedes is doing multiple convertibles still is still something that's kind of impressive and amazing to me. But anyway, also according to Motor One, that debut of the CLE could be happening fairly soon, with talks of it actually debuting, sometime here in the next few months and going on sale as soon as sometime early next year. So maybe we'll see some more of that here relatively soon. But interesting to hear that nonetheless. And thanks to my dealer source for confirming that as well. And there's a few teasers here this week that companies put out. So first, Ford has teased the new F-150 Raptor R by doing some donuts in the desert with it. Actually, during the Bronco Raptor media drive, I guess they were off in the distance doing donuts in front of the journalists and stuff, but never got close enough for anyone to get a close-up look of it. But anyway, Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, he tweeted out a video of that donut experience there. And all he's saying, though, is the V8 sounds amazing, and there'll be more details later this year. So, obviously we knew it was going to be a V8 already. Now we have that confirmation. And, we'll just get more details at some point here later this year. So for anyone, it seems like buyers of $100,000 trucks that get 9 miles per gallon, there's never been more options than there are today, despite the fact that we have, $5 gallon gas here. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, so interesting to see that we are going to have another, 10 mile per gallon option here for those who, want that stuff. I mean, it's going to be awesome. I'm not trying to hate on it, but it's just kind of funny to see so many of these things. The Escalade V is another example. Super, super awesome, but, timing wise might not be the best, So anyway, interesting to see that. Polestar has also shown us a little teaser here of the back end of the Polestar 3 that I talked about last week, and I kind of detailed a little bit more of it back last week. But that image also shows off the back end of the 4 alongside the Polestar 5 sedan that's coming. But as far as the 4, this is our first time seeing the back end of that, and it looks like a sportier fastback coupe type of SUV. It's kind of going to be the plan for that. It looks like it's a little bit taller than the Polestar 2 in the image. Certainly looks a little racier than some of the other coupe SUVs, which just kind of put a new hatch on the back, and that's about the end of it. This seems to actually be a fairly different design, even as far as the taillights and stuff goes. So that's interesting, and so. It's going to be debuting, of course, after the 3 that we know that's coming, I believe, in October. So sometime after that, we'll get this 4. And from what we can see, though, so far, these new Polestars are looking really sharp. So I'm excited to see more of that. For an unofficial kind of teaser, the Toyota chief engineer for the BZ4X told website Move Electric that we are talking with the GR guys, but it's still not a concrete idea yet in regards to the BZ4X. So, we already know the Lexus RZ uses the same platform but has a more powerful rear motor for 308 horsepower on the same platform there. So, as far as power goes, it'd be very easy to do a 308 horsepower BZ4X. Just take the RZ stuff and you're done. But they say the challenge is, trying to give it handling that lives up to the GR brand. And I'm sure the marketing and all that around it would also be a little bit tricky. I guess they're probably going to wait and see maybe to see how BZ4X goes over, once it starts, reaching dealerships here, which should be happening, very, very soon, if not already. But it's just cool to hear that they're, possibly talking about some type of GR BZ4X. Obviously GR is going to have to go for electrified stuff eventually. This might be a little bit sooner than some people were expecting, but if they do it well, I mean, all the GR products so far have been fantastic. So I have total faith that if they decide to do this, it'll actually be legit. It'll be awesome. And, we'll have to see what they do with it. But anyway, interesting to hear that little, teaser, and just kind of cool that the engineer's open enough to be like, yep, we're talking about it. I love that kind of transparency. You don't have to give away all your secrets, but, just kind of admitting that kind of stuff is refreshing, since so many other companies are super secretive about stuff these days. So anyway, cool to hear that. And Ferrari this week has detailed some of their electrification plans, and so they've announced this during an investor presentation they just did this week, where they said that they'll be doing 3 powertrains with distinctive driving emotions throughout the lineup by 2026. So 3 new electrified things by 2026. And they say that 60% of the lineup will be electrified. Some as hybrids, some as full EVs is what they're saying. So that lineup is definitely going to be growing as well, with Ferrari promising 15 new cars from 2023 to 2026. When they say 15 new, though, don't forget it's going to be variants of, this new car and then this convertible version, or, different, per Songway, and then there'll probably be be like a Purosangue T or some other thing, those types of things are what you can probably expect. They also are going to have several more Icona series vehicles. So those, things that they make a few dozen of for, billionaires, that counts in that 15, so don't think it's going to be 15 core models and Ferrari's going to have a lineup as big as Toyota or anything like that. But so there's that. They also said that along with those Icona vehicles, there's going to be a new LaFerrari successor, which they're just calling a supercar, which is kind of humble. I feel like it'd be a hypercar these days. But so that's something that's going to be coming here in that date range as well. And even the Purosangue SUV, I don't think that counts because that's actually arriving towards the end of this year. And, we're not going to have to wait till next year because the debut is actually in September for Purosangue. And they did confirm it will initially be offered with a V12, but they will likely be transitioning it to other engines eventually. They didn't say that part just yet, but it seems like the speculation is it'll be V12 at launch, and then maybe after a couple of years or even 1 year possibly, they'll roll in other engines and probably electrify it and all that, of course. And so, but hey, just awesome they're putting the V12 in here at all. I was not expecting that, so that's still great news to hear. And also, if you are someone who loves Ferrari engines, don't worry too much, though, because they reassured everyone that Ferrari will continue to push the internal combustion engine evolution, and with the support of partners, will develop solutions in energy efficiency and alternative fuels to build on an essential part of the company's heritage, but added that hybrid is the right technology for increasing pure performance. So much like, Lamborghini's kind of doing the same thing, where these companies realize that, gas-powered stuff that sounds amazing, that's one of the big draws for their companies. And so that's why Lamborghini's going full in on the hybrid thing and being like, yeah, sure, we'll have a little battery pack to get you through the city, but we're still going to have a massive V12 in the back. And I think Ferrari's going to try and lean into that for the most part, but they still do want to offer electric stuff as well, since they know that that's something that all the other supercar companies are also going to be going towards as well. So they want to have a foot in both worlds, I guess. And Ferrari CEO also gave some hints about the first electric Ferrari here, saying it's scheduled to arrive in 2025, and he said that it'll be rooted in our racing heritage and will draw from a broader technical reservoir while preserving all its authenticity and consistency. And I have been happy to add my own technology, knowledge, experience, and network to the truly impressive work of the team since the day I arrived. And he also added, I will resist the temptation of telling you too much about our full electric Ferrari, but what I can tell you is that it will be really unique from many different points of view. So that last little thing is very exciting to hear because, unique is kind of what I think, especially in the sports car world, people are looking for from an EV. They're going to want something that's more than just a fast acceleration time. They want that emotion, they want sound, and, a little bit more excitement than just straight line performance. Otherwise, everyone just go buy a Model S Plaid and be done with it. So, I think that they also did kind of reference, some kind of unique sound to this thing and, all kinds of other, driving emotion to it. So, I feel like if anyone can really, do that stuff well, even without having, the real engine behind you, I think Ferrari is one of the top candidates as far as someone who could actually do that very, very well. So we'll see how that plays out. We still got, several years before that even arrives. But in the meantime, it sounds like there's going to be lots of other awesome stuff here from Ferrari, including plenty of awesome things for internal combustion engine fans too. So great to hear that. Sounds like a great plan in my opinion. Lastly, there's another big, exciting advancement here for EV batteries this week. So the battery startup company called One, which stands for Our Next Energy, they impressed me and many others whenever they announced at CES back in January that they did 750 miles of range in a Tesla Model S that had this unique battery pack from One in it. And so they announced a partnership, this one company this week announced a partnership with BMW to install their new battery into a prototype iX by the end of this year. And so One calls it their Gemini battery, and it reduces the amount of cobalt, nickel, graphite, and lithium in it compared to a regular EV battery, while still doing a very impressive 600-mile range in the iX, if their predictions are correct. Which really, that almost like doubles the range of the iX. This is a serious battery advancement. We're getting just a few years here after, these companies started doing investments. And this one company is just a startup company too. This isn't even coming from a big car company. This is this startup that's figured out this chemistry And it's a dual chemistry, they say, where they have part of the battery just for energy storage and the other part of the battery for discharging and giving you the exciting performance that you're looking for from these higher end vehicles and stuff still. So sounds really impressive. And so yes, it continues to get really even better, because they also added that they're eventually thinking about doing 3 different sizes for a production version for this battery pack, with the smallest one costing the same or possibly even a little bit less than batteries in current electric vehicles. So, if everyone's worried about these materials, these rare earth minerals, getting harder and harder to find, getting more expensive, being bad for the environment, this reduces those, gives you way more range, and possibly for even slightly less money. And you can have a smaller battery pack as well, so you have less of a weight penalty than the current EVs. It's just like good all around. Super impressed with this. It's very, very impressive, the stuff they're doing here. So, it's also, they're saying that this won't be exclusive to BMW either. So even though they're partnering with BMW, it's not like BMW is, keeping this all for themselves or anything like that. One says they're talking with other companies that are interested in the battery pack. So, this could be like the new standard as far as, the gold standard of, what you can do from a battery pack here that they'll be trying to incorporate here down the road. Because BMW did say the aim of the partnership on their end will be to explore potentially using one's batteries in future BMW EVs in their lineup. So this isn't just some kind of fun science experiment. They actually are trying to get this stuff into their production vehicles. Because again, everyone's like, wow, if we can double the range of our vehicle, range anxiety will be a thing of the past, truly a thing of the past. Anyone who needs more than 600 miles of range out of an EV, you're better off. I guess your only other option is to buy a diesel truck or something that can maybe do a little bit more, or a diesel sedan or something like that. Aside from that, no one has 600 miles of range without stopping. And if these recharge times are even comparable to an EV, I mean, it's going to be fantastic, and no one should complain about range anymore if this actually does become the new standard for batteries here. So we'll see what ends up happening with this, but it's very impressive and exciting to watch this development. Just it's so fast and so crazy that we're already getting huge advancements in battery tech just in a few years here. And so hopefully we see that stuff in a production version very soon. But anyway, that iX, again, by the end of this year, it'll be running that battery pack, testing it out, and seeing how it does. So anyway, just very exciting to watch these developments, and so hopefully that does work out with that BMW partnership. But anyway, the last thing I do want to say is I want to give a huge thank you to those of you who are members this week of the Matt Moran Motoring Club. We actually did have 2 new members join this week, so huge thanks to Nick Bush and Harris Siva for both joining, becoming members. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the perks so far, and huge thanks to for your support, and for all the members of the Matt Moran Motoring Club. I really do appreciate all the support. There will be a link in the description if you'd like to learn more about becoming a member. There's also a join button here on the video page and on the channel page if you're on a computer as well. But anyway, that's it as far as all the news this week, guys. So let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching. Please continue to stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.